Well, okay, so welcome to this intro evening for the Shamanic Chinese Medicine class. And there's a class coming up starting this week here in San Anselmo. Starts Friday. 3-day class, new format. Going to give this a whirl, but it's got webinars in between. So it's a 3 days, but then 3 remote days in between each. So it's going to be interesting. Plus, we'll have some people who are going to be doing the whole thing remotely, and yeah, kind of seeing how that's going to work out. And it's very exciting to get to, kind of switch things around, switch things different ways. Of course, it's always wonderful to do it in person. So Vancouver is getting the 5-day in-person class, which is starting in September. I know some of you are here to find out more about how that goes. And so welcome everyone, and it's great to be here. And also it's great to have John with me too. And John is going to be doing some co-teaching with me in Vancouver. So that's pretty awesome. He's got a great background, and he's been doing this work for quite a few years. This is what he does. He is a medical Qigong shamanic Chinese medicine teacher, and gives classes in all sorts of ways, and also does the sessions. So I thought it'd be great to have John for you also to be asking questions, so it's not just me. And I like to have co-hosts, makes it fun to go back and forth. So, so thank you, John, for being
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I can talk a little bit about me, and then you can talk a little about you, John.
Sure.
So I got into this work in basically 1988. So it's been a few years. That's so scary. It's more than 30. But I started by actually working with someone who you might know, Minka DeVos, and her partner at the time, Krista Ekstrom, and doing an 8-month Qigong retreat. So that was very much based on the Qigong of Mantak Chia. So I started off with his work, and I went into that with very poor health and very poor energy, really having chronic fatigue at the time, and didn't seem to ever be able to get past having ongoing, colds, viruses, allergies, energy. So 8 months of Qigong intense 12-hour a day or more classes really changed my energy, gave me a whole new lease on life, completely transformed my experience of life and all the dimensions of life, and got to know myself in ways that I could never imagined, and has sort of propelled me from there that I wanted to teach this to others, wanted to share this to others, because I found it the most incredible way of healing. So that's what I did. I became a teacher after that of Mantak Chia's work, taught that for quite a few years, along with other things. And even Pamela's out there who took those classes from me when I was teaching Mantak Chia's work back in the 90s. And of course, I've done a lot of other things all at the same time. Experiences in meditation, going to India, I'm studying with masters, and other masters of Qigong, and also, of course, taking other courses, learning. I initially got into this and incorporated it with all of the acupressure skills. So I learned acupressure skills, plus all sorts of other body work, such as cranial sacral, and just a great deal of other things. And then in about 19, that's so funny to say, 19, I guess it was about 97, I came across the work of Jerry Allen Johnson and medical Qigong. I heard about it. It was just a rumor. There weren't books or anything like that. And I got in touch with him and was able to go to his classes where he was teaching out of his garage, his house, and you camped out in his house. And it was great. And, it was very small classes, probably a dozen people in the class that I was in, going through with, and went through those classes. We didn't have books, so we didn't have handouts. It was like totally up to us. So it was writing notes furiously and learning from him, and went through and got my master's from him that way. And it wasn't until after I had graduated that he came out with a big book on the teaching. And I wasn't going to teach. I was only wanting to do this for myself. And I just wanted to move from the kind of work that I was doing with people because I was teaching Qigong and I was doing body work, healing, energy work, but it wasn't exactly, following this whole form that's so a part of Chinese medicine. And that, which I hadn't even known before I got into this, that there was this part of Chinese medicine that was energy work. I thought Chinese medicine was acupuncture and herbology, and just like most people thought, and most people still think. And so when I found out that there was this whole energy work, I just knew that was for me, and that's what I wanted to do. And so I really wanted to focus on giving these kind of sessions, and that's what I did for just a few years. I wasn't going to teach it. Other people were turning around teaching it. I thought, oh no, this is a huge body of work, and when I'm ready, they will come. They'll knock on my door, and they're going to knock on my door and ask me if I will, teach this. And they have a class already because I'd been teaching and traveling and teaching Qigong with Mantak Chia's work. So I'd traveled a lot and taught all sorts of seminars. Up to, generally like even week-long seminars in Qigong. So I had a lot of background in that. I was in Mantak Chia's work. I wasn't just teaching microcosmic orbit, which is like his first level teachers. I was like an advanced teachers with what is called the Iron Shirt trainings and with the Healing Love training. And I also had his Chinese Song training. So I had several of his trainings and teaching things that were available at that time. So I'd already been doing a lot of that. And I was like, I've been teaching all these traveling teaching seminars. So like, no, I'm not doing this. Someone else will have to like organize this. And if they come, they knock on my door and they say they've got a class for me, I'll do it. So I think it was about, I don't know if you remember, Pamela, but maybe 2004, I was thinking, 3, I don't know, somewhere in there. I got a knock on the door from Helen Hewitt, who's one of the local Qigong people here in Marin County. And she said that she had are you Wendy Lang? And I have this class organized and we need a teacher. So I had to say yes. I knew the universe had me right there in my vow not to teach unless, and there it was, I was teaching. So I started teaching then and have taught there and taught in Victoria, British Columbia, and Vancouver, British Columbia, this part of the training. So I also teach, among other things, the channeling skills and also mediumship skills, which I consider to be an integral part of this work, actually. And that's also why I call it Shamanic Chinese medicine, because it's not just the regular Qigong training and Qigong energy work training. It really goes to all those levels which Qigong should go to. And it is put out that way in the book series. And these are the books, and I get a sense of they're kind of substantial. Come on, we have some, whoops, I don't look the right way here, that's better.
You got
Anyway, what do I have out here? Number 1. Oh, now it's upside down. Oh, because it's backwards. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
He's got some mirror imaging here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's book 1. No, that's book 2. Anyway, there's 5 of those. What do you have there? 4?
Book 4.
Yeah. Anyway, there's 5 of these books. Don't let them scare you. They are big and substantial, though, so don't think that this is a simple course that you could do in a weekend. These are really it's a very big training, and it's a very wonderful, powerful body of work. And I keep going into it, and now I'm co-teaching the doctorate level in this in Victoria at the moment. We have a very full class. We have 18, maybe going up to 20 people in that. So I'm teaching with Noel Taylor in Victoria, British Columbia. Yes, and John is in that class. So anyway, that's some bits about me and what's going on in the world of medical Qigong and Shamanic Chinese medicine. The reason I call it Shamanic Chinese medicine is it is such a better description, in my opinion, of what it is. Medical Qigong, most people don't know what that is, or they think that they have learned medical Qigong by going to a weekend workshop. Maybe that was doing Qigong exercises and movement, and they were learning some of those, so now they know medical Qigong. I don't want to make people wrong. Okay, that's medical Qigong, and what I do is not medical Qigong. So what I do is Shamanic Chinese medicine, and what I teach is Shamanic Chinese medicine, because it is a branch of Chinese medicine and takes all that same kind of skill to learn and to develop that being an acupuncturist or an herbologist takes. And if you are already an acupuncturist or an herbologist, this is the foundation that you need to be really, really good at what you do. And the great master healers of Chinese medicine, this is what they do. And for that reason, I am invited up to speak in Vancouver at the big Chinese medicine, well, not a seminar.
Symposium, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, conference, that's the right word. It's a conference, and I'm a guest speaker at the conference. And because I'm considered to be like an expert in the Qigong energy medicine, and those who know say we have to have this because it's being so left out of Chinese medicine, and you're not really doing it, and you're not really getting it unless you have this. This part is the foundation for all the rest of it. And if you're just trying to go and learn about needles and about herbs and you don't have this foundation, it's just not going to be, you're not going to ever get to that place that you want to get. You're not going to get the magic, because the schools don't teach the real magic, because you've got to get that. And it's not actually magic. It's just what we can do as human beings, and we don't know until you learn. And you can learn. Anyone can learn. And then you will know. Anyway, what would you like to say about that, John? And maybe introduce yourself and how you got here.
Well, I also, my name is John Weiss, and I also got here through Minka DeVos, same one that started with Wendy. And for me, my whole reason to get into this work was actually by happenstance. I am also a dance movement therapist and work with people through creative arts and expressing themselves creatively, and less talk but more movement, and as a way to explore what's going on in their life. And I just felt like something was missing in that path that I wasn't really getting to, an essence. It seemed very much in the head, and it wasn't giving me what I was looking for. And I was also dealing with a lot of health problems too. Mine were digestive in nature and had lots of problems with my digestion. And I was given an exercise, which if you take the course or you take any classes with Minka or anyone Wendy or anyone that's trained, Wendy is trained, you can learn this exercise. It's called the 5 Yang exercise. And I did this exercise every day, 250 times for a week. And I felt awesome. And I have not had those problems since. So, I knew there was something there, and I wanted to find out more. And I started to take more classes and learn more, and found Wendy and started to take classes with her, and was only committing to try the first year and see what was going on. And then I realized I was kind of there was more there for me. So therefore, I'm now in the doctorate course. I definitely want to make this my life path. So, and this is all from a humble beginnings of being a banker for 13 years too. So I'm completely different from where I started. So, so just to let you know, if you're in a field that's not acupuncture or herbology, like she's mentioned, if you got anything, believe it or not, this course can actually work in no matter what you're doing. It will support you in if you want to continue that field, or if you want to switch over to a different field and do this work. You can definitely work with this within whatever field you're working in. It's very adaptable. It's working with your life energy, which you need regardless of what you do. So I found it very powerful, and to the point where I wanted to switch and do this as my work. So, and I started that in 2010, I think. It's been 9 years now, and continuing to do training. And I don't think Wendy mentioned light body. I also did some light body work, and that has been profound for me. And that is working with connecting with spiritual guides in a form of channeling, and that is quite powerful for the people like myself that can get very much in my head and not within the spirit of the energies. And I've learned so much and grounded so much, and actually have found my guides. They're not just in my mind anymore. They're actually, I feel the energies of them around me. So I found this work quite powerful. So that's me.
Yes, and this is how you make your living.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So being classes and clients and more classes, and now you're also co-teaching a class series with another student of mine.
Exactly.
In Vancouver. So yeah, so that's all great. Of course, this work is really something that's growing. People are becoming much more conscious of the whole field of Chinese energy medicine and Qigong. And especially actually in yoga, the yoga community, is starting to branch out from salutation to the sun and discover that, that this is a really wonderful enhancement. So people who are yoga teachers also are taking these classes and finding that there's a great deal of depth that they can go to, and really changing the classes and really giving people a lot more just from their energetic understanding that they're getting from understanding Chinese energy medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so what is this Chinese energy medicine? Well, Chinese energy medicine is also part of, in Chinese, that you talk about Qigong. Now, Qigong is not a word they will use anymore in China. There's a lot of political connotations around that. And when I talk at this conference, one of the things I have to talk about is Qigong, and taking away this whole problem of the Chinese view of Qigong. It was so powerful that the one group of Qigong, there were millions of people who are following a form of Qigong, and that started to challenge the Chinese government. So the Chinese government outlawed Qigong. So that word isn't used there, but they have to use new words instead of saying Qigong. They just made words for it. But Qi is energy, and Gong is a skill. So basically, you're talking about energy skills, developing, and Gong is really meaning that you're highly developing these energy skills. So these are energy skills, and they're really not just energy skills. So if we look at the body, we divide the body in three. We have the lower dantian, or the lower part of the body, and then the middle, and then the upper. And everything that we do, there's all of these threes involved. There's like heaven, earth, and man, three treasures, Jing, Qi, Shen. So we are always dividing things in three. And so we can think of this as body, mind, spirit is one way to look at this. Mm-hmm. So, but this is anciently that is looking at the whole person. and the skills in order to heal, and help someone heal and help someone transform. That, you know, there is a law that you don't, from the place where it is, the illness is happening, that you have to step above it in order to heal it. Sort of like if you're trying to see your way through the forest, you want to get up high enough to get a map to see where you need to go. And so there's the work about getting into a higher place. And so we don't just work at the physical level. At the more physical level, at what we call the Jing level, we can do a lot of work, and that's like direct energy application. So you want to build up your chi and be able to put your hands on someone and be able to, and to be able to build up this chi inside of the person. So that would be that's like the body level. And then we come into the next level, which would be the energy level. So you're actually coming up a little bit from just that basic chi, and now you're working on a more refined energy. You're going to be working with meridian energies and the organ energies directly. We actually focus more directly on the organ than we would on the meridian system. We can use the meridian system, but because we're working differently, we can also go directly to the organ to do the healing. So a lot of our work goes at that level in many, many ways. I mean, we have, just innumerable ways. Like the third seminar is 5 days, and, we're covering all sorts of skills and different approaches of how we work energetically. We put in energy balls, we sweep energy, we thrust energy, we circle energy, we cup energy, we do sound. I mean, that's just sort of off the, we have like flying dragons. We have many, many different approaches. We have invisible needles. We do invisible needles, and you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to worry about sterility, and they don't hurt as much. Sometimes they hurt. Literally, people will be lying on the table with their eyes closed, and you hit them in that spot, you put that needle in, and the whole leg jerks, and the person looks up and asks what you did. So they're very powerful, but they are invisible needles. So, and that's kind of all in the scope of the middle. So we talked about the lower being the Jing, and that's really the Qi level. And then we work at the Shen level as well. And that's really at the spirit level, and we're really looking around the person to see what the influences are also at the spiritual level, what the karmas might be. Who's around them, what's around them, looking right into that energy field. And these are skills that everyone develops. It can take time, and if you're kinesthetic like me, you thought I was the Helen Keller of that world, that I had no ability to see or hear anything in those other dimensions, so I must be hopeless at that, and had to develop those abilities for myself, and eventually became very, very highly skilled at that. So if you don't think you can do it, you're wrong. You can. You just have to pay attention. We're all getting messages at that level, and you just have to listen, and eventually you will get them. So we really teach all of this all together through it. The first class is much more about healing yourself. The whole thing is really about healing yourself. But when you work on other people and you work with other people, what you discover is often that what you're working on with them is actually so much about you at the same time. It's a very interesting process in this, and you know that there are no mistakes. People that come to you and that you need to work with. Anyway, John, you have something to add?
No, I just wrote down there to remind everybody, if they have any questions, to feel free to use the chat and add any questions for Wendy that you might have.
Right. Okay, so John, having gone through this with me, yes. I know I went through it with Dr. Johnson. And so John, first seminar, do you remember what that was like?
Going back to the first seminar. Wow. Okay. Yes, I distinctly remember a few things that stood out for me. I remember going into this work and wondering, if it was going to be for me and how I would go about that. And I remember the very beginning was some information about all the people that preceded, the talking about the shamans and the different people that were involved in doing that. And it was interesting because it was from a historical perspective, and I love history. So for me, that kind of hooked me, which was kind of interesting. Most people don't get hooked by that. But and the thing that I also found good about the first session was how much you get a chance to really check in with yourself in a different level, to really start to feel energies and start to begin that process of listening that Wendy was referring to, that you can hear those guides and things like that. So, and it starts through working on yourself and the process that you're going to be going through as you continue the training. And I found that quite powerful because I thought I knew a lot of things that I didn't, and it gave me a chance to drop in much deeper and learn some new skill sets and a way to do that through the exercises, through beginning that process of self-exploration.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so the first class is that, and we do take you inside to start to pay attention to what's going on inside of you. So it's not just we learn the whole series in that first class of the Tao Yin, the five Yin workout series. So that is definitely a part of that beginning class, and a lot of other, and we also get very much into like learning a lot about the 5 elements in that class, and the 6 healing sounds, and sort of like the inner smile. So a lot of things that people, and microcosmic orbits, all in this first segment that we do. So it's sort of the external movement. We work on breath. There's a real learning about breath and doing breath work in that beginning part, and starting to work with the emotions and some basic understanding of the emotions, the connection of the emotions to the organs, and going into a lot of depth with that and how that works and how to clear it. We even do always treatment with other people where we do a 6 healing sound treatment. So it's one of the first treatments that people participate in this class. So that's exciting to get to do that. And we do, we get some pretty strong, sense of going inside, because that's really important. In seminar 2, we go inside in a very different way. We kind of go into, in order to do this healing work, you really need to move into kind of a non-dual state of consciousness. So things get much more meditative in seminar 2, with questioning reality and the common take on reality that is solid and immovable, and that what you see is what there is, because you can't do any of this healing work with a rigid belief system like that. We get into what we call the materialization and dematerialization of matter. That's seminar 2. Remember that there are 12 seminars and a doctorate program, which has another 6 on top of that. So what does that give us? 18. Yeah, so that's seminar 2. We're starting to get into those things. It's very in-depth training. It's needing to really do this work, to you're really talking about being a master. And a master has to be able to walk between the worlds. So this work was coming from the Wu in China. And the symbol for the Wu is a line above, a line below, and then this being that connects the two. And that is it's actually the shaman. The Wu is the shaman, originally female, the male, Wu Yi. And the job of the shaman was, this is heaven and earth, and they touched and connected heaven and earth. And that's what you learn in this. You're learning about how to be a connector, heaven and earth, how you bring heaven into the earth, and how you help to return earth back to heaven. It's the whole movement. And that is what, this is the meridians. If you're doing, if you're learning acupuncture, the meridians, some of them are rising from earth to heaven, and some of them are from heaven down to the earth. And it's this flow. And this is perfect health, is when you connect heaven and earth, and you connect it for yourself, you connect it for others. But there's so much in the way. There's blockages that stop us, and belief systems that stop us from connecting and being connected to heaven and earth. We get in the way of that. So, okay, so I know there's a question out there. I believe that question was about, can you attend one seminar? Yes, you can attend just one seminar. And you can do that at a distance, definitely. And by September, that'll be actually we'll already have that pretty ready to go for you whenever you are ready to do that. If you're attending the one in Vancouver, we're probably going to have, you're able to attend the rest of the 5 days, but you're welcome to do that one at a distance. The thing is, if you're going to judge the class on that, I just, feels to me like it'd be great for you to actually have to do and participate, and at least one more to really get a sense and a feel. But even in the past, when all I give out was the videos. We have had all sorts of people join in, taking the first one remotely. And so don't let that get in the way.
And she's also wondering, she says, how firm are the dates that you have listed for the first year?
In Vancouver?
Yes.
Yeah, those are firm.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any, they are firm. They're not going to wiggle away anywhere.
Yeah.
My calendar's pretty tight, and things have to fit in. And it's just sort of like that's, it's interesting because even for the Marin class, the last seminar Marin is in December, there's actually literally no other place for it to fit. So anyway, yeah, the dates are very firm. So you can set, do things around those dates.
Thank you.
And there's another question. Rachel was wondering, she goes, I'm wondering if there's opportunities to get acquainted with this work that are smaller commitment than the full practitioner training. For example, like a single workshop, something like that.
You could definitely even go to Rachel, you're not in Vancouver. You're in LA. So yeah, it's not something I tried to do that in the past. But I actually don't have, I was thinking of doing like a weekend, and that still might happen, that I'll do a weekend. So Rachel, I'm not sure, you were considering because there's at the moment, what's being offered is the one that starts on Friday, the distance, which you can kind of do at your own pace, and the one in Vancouver, which starts in September. And I don't really have a smaller one. Sometimes people just do sessions with me to get a sense of the work that I do. I can also have you do sessions with some other people. So that might be an answer. Yeah, you can also, I have we're actually getting online on Teachable. So there'll be a little bit more online available. We're starting off with just actually having the exercise series, the secrets of the Taoist 5 exercise series. So that's going to be an online, something that you can have. And smaller pieces, well, also I'm teaching locally the channeling. So channeling is a great way to kind of get to know me as a teacher and come to the channeling course. And there's a channeling class in April. I think it's around the 12th or the 13th. I'll have to look at my schedule. And then there's things going on. Then there's going to be a mediumship, but the mediumship hasn't been scheduled yet. It's probably going to be in the summer here in Marin. So those are some options if you're in California of ways to connect before committing to the larger class. And also in Vancouver, the Channeling 1 course is coming up March 9-10. So just some thoughts on that. I was just thinking who I have in LA. Rachel, you're in LA? I think so.
Yes.
Okay. Trying to think of who I could have you do something with in LA. You could certainly meet up with Debbie. Debbie's someone who is a graduate and who I work with. But at the top of my mind, that's all I can think of right now. But I do work with people all the time by distance. So I also do remote sessions. Didn't I do a session with you though? Have I done a session with you, Rachel?
Yes, by phone.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's right. You've done a session. Anyway, so maybe you want to come and do the channeling class in April. That might be just something to think about. Okay, John, thank you for answering that question. The syllabus. So you can actually look up more about the classes on the website. There's nice course descriptions for each of the seminars. You can go right through, read about them. If you look up, not MQP, but practitioner training, therapist training, master's training. It gives a description of all the classes there. And there's so much. There's so much that it gets to be kind of hard to describe. And so talk a little bit more about the first year, though. So the first seminar, very much about working on yourself. Second seminar expands into even working on yourself on a deeper level. And it's when your first introduction to working on other people. Now, even if you're not used to working on the people, it's very interesting to do this. It's a great learning curve. It's a great way to stretch yourself and who you think you are. And there's something about working on someone else where the energy comes through you. So when we're just sitting and meditating and just being with ourselves, you draw on a certain amount of energy. It's like the divine sort of like lights you up. Now, if you're actually going to send that out to someone else and you forget about you and you become this conduit, there's even more that happens. I call it like this kind of like this fast road to enlightenment, even though there's no such destination. There's, or it's a constant process. It's not like it's, you're being enlightened through, or you're becoming lighter or more light through the work that you do. So this is a way of opening up to becoming much lighter and brighter, is by allowing it to come through you to someone else. And so we start doing that in the second section. The way that I teach it is that there's two things. You'll get a protocol, so all these fancy kind of moves that you do around the body and how you purge what is blocking, how you fill what's empty, how you add, well, not in that seminar, but you get a basic, clean and replenish to do for other people. Another part of that is that you actually do something we call magic gloves, where you allow your hands to be really moved by a higher force and allow that to guide you. And so that's a really wonderful exercise in letting go and letting something bigger express through you. The fourth class, now if you're taking this locally here in San Anselmo, we're going to be filling in some of those in-between classes online. And we'll even, kind of look at the group, maybe something, come over here and hang out and be part of that in person in my room here or something. But mostly is intended to be available online for people who are at a distance, to be able to take those classes, because they really lend themselves to working remotely. So the third class is really fun. They're all fun and amazing. I mean, everybody's like, oh my God, that was the best class ever. And then they come to the next one. It's like, oh, I couldn't believe I get better. And they all get better because you have learned so much. And now it just keeps adding to this. And it so becomes just magical and rich. And you're doing things by the third class that you thought that a master would have to spend years to do. In the third class, we go and we gather essences. It seems you're not interested maybe in healing people. It's really awesome to go out and to connect to nature and to work with nature. We don't steal from nature to get these essences. We don't have to kill anything. We just work with nature and bring essences into water. And they're amazing and powerful. Again, it seems like magic, but you're all doing it. We do a double blind, so you're also collecting for someone you don't know who you're collecting for. And that's always really surprising, because even when you don't think you're intuitive, you are. And that somehow you're giving this person, and you have a sense of, you really do get a sense of what that person needs when you collect these essences. We also create powerful, it's like an amulet, but it's called a talisman. And so we take an object and we embed energy in the object. When we do this, just like when we work with plants, we're always working with the object. We need to work with the object. We need to ask permission. We clear it, and we really try and give a purpose to the object that goes with the object. We're not going to force the object, something into the object. So we're extremely mindful with everything that we do. And yet these objects are really powerful, and you can put an energy in this object, and then you can come back later and it's like, wow, that energy is still really right there, and it's really powerful. We often, it's like you would time that so that it doesn't really turn on until you pick it up. It's sort of like a remote, and you push the button, except you pick up the object and it has this power. You place it on your body, and it has a force in it. So you learn how to do that. People create very fancy machines of some kind that I don't understand, that also imprint objects with energies, and they're like, wow, that's so cool that you're doing that. But at the same time, you can just do it yourself. You actually don't need some very complicated system to be developed to create these kind of healing talismans for yourself and for others. So that's just a little part of number 3. Number 3 is also where you get so many more of the healing tools which is, of course, that's part of the healing tool basket that you develop, your toolkit. Also, everything is progressing. So everything that you're learning is also continually stepping up to a new level. By the 4th seminar, you between the third and the fourth seminar, you work at distance. You're paired up with someone who you don't know. You'll do a distance session on them. And again, that's a really exciting thing to do, to even think that, if you thought right now, could I do that? Well, probably not. How would I work on someone who's, who I've never met, who's in another place, and all I have is their name? Like, really? I'm going to do something meaningful for that person? How would I do that? And yet by then, some people have already started doing them, but by then, it becomes something that you do. And people have, again, amazing experiences, and they're very surprised at their abilities. Because we as humans have these abilities, and they have just been forgotten. They've been not acceptable in our culture. And so this is bringing these very important aspects of us as human beings back into our power, into who we are, into who we can be in the world. So this isn't, I consider, that's why I love to teach this. It's like I want you all to know who you really are, and what you can really do, and that it's not just special people who can develop these abilities. You can develop these amazing abilities that no one ever told you that you had, and it's not going to take you your whole life to do it. So anyway, in that sense, I'm talking about seminar 4, experiencing colors. The energy of colors is in seminar 4. Going through the process of dying. Death is in seminar 4. And one of the favorites in seminar 4 is working with animals. Is that seminar 3 or 4? No, I think it's seminar 4. Yes, it's 4. Is healing animals. So it's just some of those great things. There's a final exam. It's not hard. You just need to know some basics, very basics. So it's not like you kind of memorize one of these books or something. No, not at all. And I let you know what's going to be basically on the exam, so that you know what you need to know. And then the rest of it's subjective. You also need to be able to work on somebody on your own to get certain certification level. You also need to work on 49. Is it 49, John? You would remember that. 48. Yes, 48. And you need to do 48 sessions. That doesn't have to be done by the end of the year. You just, like, when you have those things done, there are exams between the sessions, and those will be given to you at the end of the seminar, either the 5-day or the 3-day, and all the just material that's covered. They kind of keep you engaged, and they keep you thinking, and they help you to reflect on everything that you've learned, and to really make it, more a part of you. For the people who are doing the 3-day course, there's going to be 2 Saturday mornings and 1 evening. I think it's 6:30 till 9. It's 6:30 till 9. And those are all listed on the scheduling page under on the website, under seminars, under Shamanic Chinese Medicine / Medical Qigong. It's all there. So the dates for those are theirs. And if you have a question, I can certainly get back to you
on that note. There was a question about the dates, because it looked like there was some issues with the second seminar for the distance program, the number 2 seminar.
Okay.
There was 2 sets of dates out there, so we just wanted to get some clarification about which one is correct. One area it showed May 13th to 15th, and the other one showed May 10th to 12th.
10 to 12. Well, that's, so say the first one again. March.
May 13th to 15th.
Oh, I think that's.
And then the other one says May
Oh,
10th to 12th.
let me check. Okay, that sounds like me. I make these errors at times. I have a lot going on. So just a moment, I'll check my master schedule. That will actually answer that question. Let me see. Oh, oops. That's what I wanted. Sorry, I just get those dates up here. Okay, make sure I get the right dates. Probably should have just looked at the website. Oh, but you're right. If I've got something on there, let me know what page that is. If you're finding errors on the website, always appreciate feedback. Okay, come up here. Okay, so the correct dates.
Pamela says it's on the schedule page.
Okay, yes, it should be on the schedule page. Thanks, Pamela. Yeah, it is not 10, 11, 12th of May. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, that's P2. Yep.
All right.
Great.
So the correct dates are May 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you for asking.
And one more question that just came up was what happens between seminars? You started to talk a little bit about that, but maybe you want to elaborate a little more about what happens between the seminars.
Okay. Question. So between, here we go. So between the seminars, you have homework to do. If you're in the 5-day program, then you're going to have homework to do between the seminars. Depending on where you live, you also have other options. Sometimes there's a lot can go on between the seminars, and I say depending on where you do live, because if you're in Vancouver, you can go to classes like someone like John, and do class work between seminars, just learning the more. He teaches the Qigong classes on a regular basis, so that's a possibility. We're setting up to have Facebook groups now so that you can also get together with the people who are in your cohort and exchange and back and forth with what's going on, and later it's of course exchanging sessions. And the therapist class right now in Vancouver challenged each other to do 100 days of the Naguan meditation. Naguan is the internal viewing meditation, which is the traditional meditation of the Qigong master healers of China, where they would, is the one to learn to be able to see into the bodies with more clarity and accuracy. And so they are going through that and having pretty amazing experiences. So those are some of the things that go on. Also in the therapist level, there's requirements for more TCM. And so there's a 50-hour requirement of TCM. If you don't have it, if you already have TCM in your background, you don't, of course, need to do those things. So there's the TCM requirement, and there's also, you need AMP, anatomy physiology. And so that's another 50 hours at therapist level. If you don't have a background that is included ever studying that, then that's it's also a really great thing to do. So some of these courses are available online, and we also have people that teach these courses, especially in Vancouver. These courses are scheduled for people to take there every year. So, and I might, if there's enough interest in this area, then I could also have someone come here and teach it, or else I could actually possibly have someone teach that online. And so we could actually, have all those things, or you can find it. I have people also doing it online, and in between classes, remember there's also the channeling, there's the mediumship, there's an advanced channeling class.
Channeling is good to do.
So, and then there's light body, which is also great to do. So there's a lot being offered, as I said. So And then with the 3-day program, there are these 2 Saturday mornings and 1 evening. Those will also be recorded, so it's not necessary that you attend them live. There'll be a Zoom class like this, except that you will all be visible to each other. So it's going to be a classroom setting, and everybody will have their own little square that you are looking at. So you get to see each other. So that works great too. People don't, at this point, you're not obligated to, to show up in that visual way. But when we're doing those classes, you will be actually getting to see each other, which is really nice. So there's another question there, John?
Yes. It says, Bessie was wondering, in the distance or online program, how do you measure or evaluate someone's understanding and abilities at a distance? How can you confirm someone is really getting it?
Okay, so people who are doing it that way, I'm going to spend an hour with you personally between these seminars. So if you are doing the distance and you're just doing the distance, you need to show up for those ones that are in between. So I get to see you there, and then I'm going to have a check-in with you in between, and there's also a requirement to do 2 healing sessions with me during that first year too. So I'm going to check in with you that way. Probably I'm going to want to have some we have to be on so that I can see you at a distance, and be able to work with you, and I'm going to get a lot also from doing a couple of sessions. We're going to do a couple of sessions together, and and you will also be connected with other students to be doing trades with, and so even though you're at a distance, one of the reasons why I even consider this in this course is that this work is so powerful at a distance, that you will be connecting to other people, and where the people who in the live class will be working on each other in real time in the same space, that you will be working on each other at a distance. So and there's just some of these things where I'm going to want to see you at a distance that and I'm going to watch what you're doing. The joys of the computer. And so Bessie, this is new. I am stepping out into this, but I'm still not going to just make it a program that has no oversight in that way. And I'm going to want to convince all of you distance people to show up in person to one of the seminars, at least one, which would be, which will be very meaningful. And you can come to a live one here if you're at distance. You also go to a live one in Vancouver, either way. So, yeah, it's been something I've thought about for a long time. How can I make this work? Because some people are really, it's very difficult to come across the country to do these seminars, even though I currently have someone coming all the way from Australia. And yeah, that worked out. And we even had her Zoom through one class too, because her mother was ill and she had to take care of her. There's no way she could fly in for the class. So yeah, people have a lot of different situations, and I'd still like to get the knowledge out there. Okay, any other questions up there, John?
Nope, I think you've answered them all. Wait a minute. What's going on?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bessie. Yay for living in the future.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just going to say. A nice comment. And Donna was wondering about if there's a recording. Yes, Donna, we are recording this right now, so you'll get the link and you can go back and listen to the whole thing again.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so John, what was your experience on your first distance session that you did?
Oh, wow. Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think back 9 years ago. I one thing I think the thing that stuck out most for me was that it was just as profound as the in-person one.
Yes.
In some ways, it was almost easier, which is interesting, because we're working. You're not so much in the process of being with this person and wondering, getting reactions from them and wondering. You're just being in your own process and listening to the energies that are there and what you're receiving, and you work from a more intuitive way. And I found it quite powerful to work that way, and begin to and then get feedback and find out that I was pretty close to what was going on, and finding my way through the process of what they were dealing with. And even though I'll be perfectly honest, I doubted myself the whole time, but at the same time, I knew there was something happening. I just knew that there was a process happening, that it wasn't just me waving my hands around and doing something.
You weren't just doing a ritual.
No, I wasn't doing a ritual, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's always such a surprise, especially, and then I was like, I came with this weird pain in my head, and I thought maybe it's theirs. And then of course the person's like, oh, I had this terrible. So it's always, pretty wonderful how that happens. Okay, we had some more questions.
Yeah, there was one more question here. It says, do people ever do a first session via distance and then join the practitioner training in person for later sessions?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I think only once have I done it with with someone, we're actually able to catch up on 2 and then come into the training.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Bonnie did that, believe it or not. So,
and from my own personal, just to offer my view on that, if that's what needs to happen because of your life situation or something like that, by all means, I know Wendy can adapt to that. But from a person who came into the program and got a chance to meet all my fellow cohorts and develop that camaraderie that you're going to be working with for a whole year, it really is nice if you can be there, especially if there's going to be one that you're missing in the future. It almost seems a little easier than the first one when you're having all these relationships getting developed and getting a chance to work with people. So that was just my feedback on that. But of course, I know that life situations are different for everyone.
Yeah. And I've also had people come in who are studying with a different teacher and then come in later. Sometimes I've had, 2 classes at a certain point mixed together. All different things go on. And right now we have this whole group that are the doctor level people who are doing that and working on dissertations and such. And they're coming from all sorts of different levels and getting to know each other. And most of you already know each other.
Right.
Some people didn't know some people, so it's been pretty great in that way. So yeah, it's going to be new having the distance because I haven't done it before, but I really feel like the Zoom class, those Zoom classes will be a great way to actually connect with your group. You'll be going through as a group, and so the people who are at a distance won't get to be as connected as probably the people who are there through the whole classes, but actually through the video of the classes, you will get to know the people who are in your class, and through the live Zoom classes. So. And then, like I say, hopefully you're going to decide to come to at least one of the classes a year live, and that'll be great. So, here's some other questions there.
There was one more thing. I've just sent her a private message to clarify it, but maybe she can, as we're talking about it. Connie was wondering about using previous education credits, and I was just asking her what she was referring to in particular.
If it's anatomy, physiology, absolutely. Yes. And if it's, so you don't have to go out and get it because you've already got it. And if you've studied TCM. You can certainly don't have to go and study more TCM.
And also, one of the things I know is required is first aid. And if you've got your first aid training already, you obviously don't have to repeat that.
Yes, at a certain point. Yeah, and also that's another place is a requirement for other forms. That did you go out and make sure that you've studied some other form of Qigong or Tai Chi with someone else. And so unlike some schools where it's like, don't ever, this is the way and you are the disciple of this school and you can't ever, wander away from it. We're quite the opposite. We want to make sure that you have also, studied, not just with our course, that there's a requirement of a number of hours that you need and go out and, study with another teacher. Now, a lot of you have already had that you've studied Qigong or Tai Chi or another form of martial arts with someone, and then that requirement would be done too. That's a master's level requirement. That we want people to have a broader experience.
Yeah.
I think it's very well thought through. Like really a lot of bases are covered with this. Yeah. Other questions out there?
No, you've answered all of them up to this point, but feel free, anyone, if you have any other ones, to just put them in the chat room and we can relay them to Wendy so that she can answer them.
Okay.
Oh, one person, Bessie was wondering, does Jerry ever drop in?
No.
I've never met Jerry, so I can say no for my class.
No, he never drops into Vancouver, that's for sure. God, yeah, it'd be like pulling teeth to get Jerry to come up to the Bay Area, I swear. I mean, I drop in on Jerry. But yeah, that'd be interesting. He does have some very brief classes that he's doing online right now. Very, very basic, some pretty basic fundamental stuff going on. So it is possible to do that, to sign up for one of his courses online. Like I say, they're not, well, I think it's an hour a month or something. Do you know, John? I can't remember.
I think that, are these the ones that are done on Facebook?
No.
I knew there was some Facebook group that he does a class there.
Well, no, there's a class you sign up for. There's only one class he's doing. And yeah, I think it's an hour a month.
Okay.
So it's not a big training. If I say it's something fairly small. If you're over here, I can put on, you can take a look at it. Yeah, because it's nice to actually see him. And I'm actually pull out some of his recordings in some of the classes, just so you can get a sense of him. Okay. Other questions? Okay.
Yeah, one more question. It seems that Qigong is at a tipping point in the U.S. Anything more to say about this, especially related to opportunities to develop this as a career?
Yes. Yeah. So we are from the, okay, so I'll answer that question next. So yeah, Qigong as a career, yeah, it's very much like yoga was, 20 years ago. It's just really kind of not out there, and it is expanding quickly. I was just in Mexico, and they were really like trying to talk me into, going down there and teaching because, because there's a lot of people wanting a good Qigong teacher where I was. So people are starting to become conscious of Qigong and want this teaching. When I first started, it was CHIKUNG.
Yeah.
And yeah, and nobody knew what the hell that was. Mm-hmm. I went someplace, and it was so unknown when I started teaching. So I've just seen it come such a long way. I started teaching my first classes in '89, and I would travel. And teach around the Northwest. At that time, I was living in Canada, so I was in the Pacific Northwest, and I'd have probably a seminar, at least a seminar a month, or 2 seminars a month that I would be traveling and teaching, and taught some pretty big classes in places like Seattle and in Vancouver. What was it called? It was called Transform Stress into Vitality. That's what it was. And in one place in Canada, in the interior of Canada, it was Kelowna, that somebody was setting me up to teach in. And the title was The Healing Tao, Tao. And when it was sent to the paper, they thought, oh, typo, that should be toe. So it was put out there as Healing Toe. And the guy said, you wouldn't believe how many people got back to me about their toe problems. He said, you should have been Healing Toe. There were like 100 people who wanted to know about the Healing Toe. I just thought about that. Maybe become the Healing Toe at some time. I used to do some Qigong demos too. So I would go to teach at bookstores and things like that. And if I had a big enough venue, I would do this thing where I would stand up at the front and I would ask the biggest man in the room to come up and try and push me over. So I would do my Qigong stance, and it's called the immortal post or the embracing the tree posture, the one where you're standing, and it's like try and push me over. And they'd come up and they'd try a little bit, and I'd say, no, you have to push your hardest. And they'd kind of push more and push more and push more until they were red in the face. And that was part of, a physical demo for people about this work, so they could get a sense, how do you tell people quickly that this is something different, something that, that just is going to bypass your understanding. Like, how can that happen? How can the person stand there and this person and I'm like smiling and just relaxed. That's of course what you have to be in order for that energy to move down. So anyway, I was busy anyway. I was busy back then, going around and teaching people. How did I get over there? Anyway, there's another question. Would I answer that question?
I just want to answer one aspect from not that far back. Even 9 years ago when I started this practice, no one knew how to say the word. No one knew what it was. Okay. And just in the 9 years that I've been doing since the training, I've had profound amount of change to the point where I get a lot of people, because they'll be actually looking for Qigong and want this practice, where at the beginning I was searching them out. Now they're searching me out and all my fellow classmates. So I found that's just in 10 years. So 9-10 years. So it was definitely sweet. Definitely getting more pronounced. And Rachel was wondering, what is the cost of committing to the first session of the practitioner training? Do you need to buy all the books?
No, you don't need to buy all the books if you're just going to try it out. The first segment on its own is $900, and you can, if you take the whole thing, then all of that, then it goes back into the seminars are $850 each. They are, it's 5 days, and that $50 if you don't take the whole thing. So it's just $50 difference, $50 more. And so basically what it is that by doing the whole thing and doing the whole year, you save $200. So we don't think like we're charging more. It's actually, we frame it as where the person who does the whole year gets
a discount.
A bulk discount.
Yes.
The whole
But there's also
Part of it is funny. Yes.
there is the when you register for the course, you do pay a deposit, and if you complete the whole course, then that deposit's added onto your last seminar. So another incentive to
Full course.
if you're able to do the whole course, that the last course will be quite inexpensive because you're paid already through your deposit.
Yes. Yeah. And the San Anselmo course and the distance course, I am waiving the deposits right now. So we're just doing it one course at a time if you're here, and those are $850.
And actually, speaking on that course,
yes,
Pamela was wondering about the webinars on specific. Are the webinars on specific topics?
Yes, they are.
I'm looking at the syllabus, and certain topics will be during the weekend, and then some sections will be covered in the webinar. And just wanted to make sure that was actually the case.
Yes, they're not, you're going to look at that. So everything is going to get covered that's in the syllabus. It's just not going to be in the exact order that it's in the syllabus. I need to make things on the webinar that are more suitable to a webinar. And then there are other things that are more suitable for the in-person. So the people who are here in person are going to get to do that in-person part. Then the people who are going to watch that, they're going to watch that more on video. And you're also going to get some extra video on that. So you'll see the class, and you're going to get some more specific video to get, really want to get all those pieces for people. And then there are things like what John loved, like I've decided I'm going to put the history one, like one of those webinars will be, it's going to include the whole history piece, which is really very fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is going to be very much focused on the microcosmic orbit, which is a whole, piece in and of itself. And I have enough energy skill that even if you're not in the room, because if you're in the room, you kind of go around and you check everybody's energy. I can do that over the web. I don't need to be in the same room as someone to know what the energy is. I don't even need to be in the same year. Move out of time and space. We got to do that stuff. So just part of the skills you learn. So.
Yeah, one of my favorite skills that I learned was that you can, like Wendy was implying there, is doing treatments into the future. I've got a client that I work with on a regular basis that I time code his treatment and send it out to him when it's supposed to arrive. And every single time he goes, wow, that was a great treatment. And and it wasn't done exactly at that moment. It was done earlier, and I sent it to him so that he could have it when it was supposed to be. But I invite him to relax during that time so that he can actually receive the energy a little bit easier. And so that's another skill you can learn practice too, which is fun.
Yes, and you kind of get used to all these weird things. Because we're all working with it, and that's why it's nice to actually be part of a group that's doing these things, because everybody kind of gets used to it. And you almost like have a language that you speak to each other that other people don't. It's our private language. The other people don't especially understand when you're talking about that. Oh yeah, I gave him a session that I sent to him, and I could do it at 3 and he was going to lie down at 5. Yeah, sure. That's normal. And we do clinics. Clinics is a part of this too. And at the end of the first year, it's wonderful to be, and we're going to have a clinic, and we'll have people come in to experience the treatments. And then we talk about the treatments after, in the afternoon, morning treatments, afternoon check-ins. And it's one of those places where you really learn a lot. It's a very powerful experience. And the ones in Vancouver can be very large and very exciting. There's a big room, and there's a lot of people in that room. Is a ballroom. It's a hotel ballroom, and we fill it up with tables and with people, and we have amazing sessions. Just really quite incredible. And all of the beginners are partnered up with the more experienced people. And so the experienced people get the fun of working with someone who's learning, and those who are learning get the wisdom of the person who's been doing this for a while. And people come back who are practitioners who are out there in the world doing this work, and they come back and they assist. And students, wherever you are welcome to be part of that big one in Vancouver as well. And I'm going to be I have one scheduled for here in Marin in December. So. Okay, if you have any other questions? I know we said it was just until 8:30, and our time is kind of getting past 8:30, so we should probably be definitely winding this up. We started a few minutes late, so make it a couple more minutes. So any last questions from anyone?
So I don't have anything.
Alan made a comment there.
Yeah, just this is an amazing seminar, and I highly recommend it. So thank you, Pamela. Appreciate that. And
yes.
I'm also going to throw my email address on here. So if you would like information, we have some written information that you can look at, particularly for the Vancouver sessions, about location, all those kind of nitty gritty. If you're into that, I can definitely get that to you. So if you want any information like that, I'm going to throw my email on here, and feel free to let me know, and I'd be more than happy to get that information to everyone.
Right. And if you're on here tonight, just thinking, I was going to do meditation, but I'm just thinking, if you're interested and you're on here tonight, or if you don't know, my email is wendy@emptymountain.com.
Shall I write it down there for you, Wendy?
Yes, you can write it down for me. And I'd be happy to send out a meditation for you to enjoy. It would be in a Google Drive, so you would need some sort of a Google friendly email address to send that to. And actually between the seminars, I should have said this too, is that there's a lot of course materials, and the course materials include a lot of handouts, binder with of course the paper handouts, and then access to the Google Drive, which has lots on it. It has PDFs, their slide, PowerPoint presentation as part of the class, and so PDFs of the PowerPoints are on there. All of the meditations are recorded and are on there, and you have access to meditations from the past years, so you can listen. There's lots of real rich resource to get access to these Google Drives from each class too. And yeah, just
extremely valuable information there. As a former student, well, continuing student, I highly recommend that stuff, because you get a chance to see, because there's so much coming in. These are really information rich sessions and very experiential, that you want to have a chance to review some of it, because when you're in the moment doing that, sometimes you're not able to get all those things that you want to grab, and Wendy's so generous to send that all out. So it's another huge bonus of this particular series.
And speaking of that, I'm going to plug John now. John has a fabulous YouTube channel, and you can go into his channel and YouTube channel and follow his guided lot of exercises,
some meditations and things like that. Yeah.
Things like that are on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, just type in my name and Qigong and you'll find it.
Great, thank you. Yeah. And he's also got a great website. Your website is?
johnweiss.ca.
johnweiss.ca. Okay. Cool. All right.
Thank you so much, everyone. We really,
Yeah,
just like
this
to
was
say, I
great.
really appreciate your questions and your interest, and feel free to jot those emails down so that you can continue to contact either one of us if you have questions, because we know that taking a course like this would be a big step, and we want to make sure that you're really clear on anything that might be outstanding for you to make a decision or figure out how you'd like to proceed.
Yeah, and another thing is if you're on the fence about it, you can ask me. I will give you a yes or no. I check in with my guidance, and sometimes it's no. I mean, usually the guys are pretty excited about everybody coming to the class, but sometimes they're like, this really isn't the thing, or it's not the time. So whatever, I'm very honest to my guides. If whatever they tell me, I will pass on to you. So I'm happy to do that, to help people out in decision making as well. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was that all the classes are recorded, and that the recording for the regular participants for the 5-day class in Vancouver is $50, and so for the 3-day class, it'll probably be $35, because I have to buy the sticks, because I send out the stick. If you want to bring me the stick back, it'll be less. Put it back on the same stick. If you want to download it somewhere, then give me the stick back anyway. So, yes.
And
Yeah.
do you still have room in your channeling class in Vancouver on the 9th of March?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful way. I highly recommend. I'll be there. I am repeating it. So it's a wonderful way to really dive into this type of work, working and get a chance to see how Wendy works. So I recommend that too. So.
Okay. Well, that's great. So I think we've answered hopefully your questions, and if not, feel free to write, and yeah, and hope to see you. Some of you even to see you this weekend. Yeah, so that's great. Okay. And thanks, Pamela. Thank you for being there.
Yeah.
Pamela is also a graduate. Do you want to turn on your video for a minute?
Yeah. I've never met Pamela. I'd love to see her.
My video is messed up.
Okay.
So I'm just on the phone.
Oh, okay.
But I got the opportunity to be in her I think your first class.
You did. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been taking lots of different classes from Wendy, from when she was doing Montauk Chia stuff and the light body and.
Yes. Since forever.
So, but I always find this really healing. And the first time I took the classes, I certainly got a lot out of it, but I really want to, read the book and put it all together this time. So I have to say, last time I didn't read the book as thoroughly as I could have. It's a lot of reading, but I was really busy. So yeah, it's always a fun time and so healing. Oh my gosh. Just doing the exercises and just being there and in the energy that gets created.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're such a fun group that you went through with. We're all still friends.
Yeah, everybody stayed really close. For whatever, 10 or 11 or 12 years or something.
Yeah. And you've certainly applied your knowledge, and so Pamela Rescues is a major cat. She's the Cat Angel Network, And so she gets to apply healing to cats. And
Wow.
Yeah.
I get to apply healing to cats and to her dogs, and we have some stories about that too, which are all nice.
Oh, totally. It's been very amazing. And, oh, you know, I just love these, the classes expand our boundaries of what we really think is possible. Because yeah, I don't really experience other teachers doing this kind of work. So it's really it's way beyond human potential, and putting together you know, the meridians and the acupunctures with where it really came from way back, and the wonderful roots that it had in the woo, and the mystical shamanistic you know, setting. So I think that's what's that really all the healing that TCM is based upon. This is really what TCM is based upon.
Yeah.
And we just haven't realized it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, I'm just very happy to have had you all, as John said, joining us, and thank you, John.
Welcome.
And yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up for now. And if you want to contact and let me send you a meditation, or you can go to John's website. There's lots of opportunity there. Anyway, have a great evening, and hope to hear back from you. See you in one of the classes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.